Hello everybody, or if anybody is on. How's it going? An impromptu stream. Yeah, I was gonna work on something and my wife is away with my daughter for the evening, so I thought maybe it'd be good to work on it on a stream rather than just working by myself, so why not stream, I guess. Yeah, so what am I working on? Let me show you. How do I share this? Over here. Screen share plus me. Sean Hodgins has a Kickstarter going at the moment. See if we can click into that. But that's his old Kickstarter. Here it is. I can turn off my desk view as well. We definitely won't be needing that today, I would say, or at least not for a while. Geez, it's doing great already. But I was talking to him on his live stream there recently. I think it was yesterday. And I was saying that it would be pretty easy to get this information out on an Arduino, library, or at least I thought it would. So you could have a live display of this. Now, the amount of people in the world that want this is probably pretty small. I'd say the Venn diagram of people who use Arduino stuff, people who run Kickstarters, there's this tiny Sean Hodgins shaped overlap who might be interested in this library, but I think it'd be a bit of fun anyways. So we can go through the process of everything in terms of making this library, and it might make for an interesting video or journey or whatever you would call it. I suppose I better let some people know on Twitter or something that I've done a stream or I've started a stream. Yeah, I don't normally stream at this time, but yeah, so if there's anybody around who wants to say hi, please feel free to do so. Yeah, let's stream it out. Impromptu stream right now. What am I doing? Making a library for ESP8266 and at ESP32 to fetch at Kickstarter for making an at Arduino library. I'm just gonna tag absolutely everybody to fetch Kickstarter data. Really, it's just for at idle hands dev. Okie dokie. Right, so we might have to go through this again at some other stage, but okay, so most websites probably, I think I noticed that this was automatically updating, so I was like, they're obviously getting the data on the fly for these values, like it's not just loaded when the page is loaded. So this is Chrome, so if I right click and go and inspect, it's just one of the quicker ways of getting to the developer tools. You'll see a load of connection refuse messages in my console. That's because I've got Pi-hole enabled, so it's blocking the Google Analytics stuff. So that's fine. But if you go to the Networks tab, so if we reload the page again here, let me just move that to the side and put that there. If we reload the page again, because that's kind of not fair, you can see it shooting around in the background. It's making this stats.json request. So like, let's reload it, because you know you'll see it doing a ton of other stuff first, but then it keeps making those stats.json requests after the fact, after everything's loaded. So if you just click on stats.json, so let's make this big again. Yeah, if you just click on stats.json, and if you go to the response, you will see that we have the details, right? So we have backer count is 82, the pledged amount is 4,000. Oh, I'm in the way. Could I move that around so that you can see that better? There you go. The state is live, backer count is 82. You can see the pledged and you can see the comment count. So you'll notice that the pledged is in a different currency than what I see it here on the web page. I guess it has me logged in and it knows that I'm in Europe. So I'm not actually sure if the 10,000 is, or yeah, if the pledged is Canadian or US dollars. Judging by the difference, it must be Canadian. So that's interesting that I can't tell that from the stats. So it'll be up to the person who's using the Arduino library to do it. Like, I guess if we look at CAD to Euro, so let's do CAD to Euro. It'll probably bring up this thing. Yeah, so 4109 is 2684, which is about that. Like you'd imagine US dollars is worth more than that. United States dollar. Yeah, so it's in the starter of the Kickstarter's currency by the looks of things. So that's fine. But if we go back to this headers page here again, you can see that the request that it makes is just HTTPS, Kickstarter, projects, idle, hands dev, HCC mod. So that's like the name of his project. That's his name. And then there's Kickstarter projects. So, and then it's just stats.json v1, and that's it. It's just a simple GET request. So yeah, let's see how we get on. Will it work? I'd imagine so. There's not a huge amount going on here in the request headers, so I think this will be relatively easy. One thing that I would normally do, and I'll do it just to be proper about it, is you can I have a plug-in for Chrome here, Postman. I think it's a standalone thing now. If it loads up, maybe I have some things saved here that I shouldn't be showing. I have some Telegram bot URLs, but it doesn't really matter probably. Let me just so I'm just gonna grab the URL from here. So copy link address. So that's copied now, and I'm just going to paste that into. Postman. So I'm just going to show that much of Postman. Okay, so I just pasted that URL straight in there. I didn't change headers, didn't change anything, and I got the data back. So that to me means that this request is stateless. Like, it doesn't need any authentication, it doesn't need any cookies, doesn't need anything. So that's good. I need to turn my phone off. Hey, thanks for the follow. thanks for the follow. Who is it that followed me? It would seem like my Streamlabs stuff isn't working. Let me... Hey, hey Gregor and hey Subtext. So there's Cog Whistle is following. Yeah, I don't know why chat is... there it is. Okay. Yeah, no, it's a completely weird time. Thanks for joining those Subtexts, and hey to you, Gregor. Yeah, I'll probably upload this video. Somebody was asking before about... like, I don't normally upload my Saturday streams to YouTube, and that's just to stop my YouTube channel being like flooded with live streams, like old live streams. But I might upload them all to YouTube, just not make them public, and just have like a live streams playlist that you know, has all of them there. So if people want to watch them back on YouTube, they can. It also preserves them because Twitch only keep VODs for like 2 weeks or something. So, but that's fine. Yeah, so you can see here again, stateless, everything's good. And this is a nice feature of Postman, which is quite handy for useful, or it's quite useful for later, is you can click code here and you can change the different types of code that you want, right? So HTTP is the one that we want. So these will be the kind of requests that you're going to be sending or using in the Arduino world. So raw GET requests. So yeah, maybe a second YouTube channel for live streams might be a good idea. I don't know if I'm big enough for that, to be honest, though. Like, I have a relatively small audience, and I'd be worried about splitting the audience. But maybe that's a better solution than hiding it on yeah, an unlisted videos in a public playlist. But yeah, maybe that is the way to go. Or maybe just stop doing it on Twitch and go back to YouTube for streaming. Might be another option too. Not sure. Like, I like Twitch as a platform. I think it's a really rapidly expanding platform, and I think like it's good to be there, but I don't know if I'm doing either stuff enough that I can do both, if that makes sense. Like, streaming on Twitch does affect like how much time I have to do the videos, because I need to stream twice a week. But yeah, that's cool for the while. Anyways, I'll definitely be keeping up just Twitch for the moment. Okay, so that is going to be important, and we'll take a look at that later. So now what I'm going to do is I'm going to go to GitHub. And I'm going to create a new repo, and I'm going to call it Arduino, what's this, Kickstarter stats. Yeah, I'm sure. An Arduino library for fetching stats on your on Kickstarter projects. Doesn't need to be your ones. Kickstarter projects. It's going to be public, and we'll initialize it with a README, and everything will be great. Yeah, let's go. If you did a stream on YouTube, would be yeah, no, it would be. So the reason why the videos aren't immediately available on live or on YouTube directly after, like I can click a button on Twitch that uploads directly from Twitch, like the VOD, to YouTube. But part of the Twitch affiliate program means that I can't do that. I need to wait 24 hours before I upload it. And the other thing that actually slows me down in uploading it, so I still don't have Monday's one released on YouTube yet, is that I have like this clip at the start of it's Stranger Things basically, but instead of like, you know, reading out Winona Ryder's name or whatever, it's just interlaced with my stuff, like crap like building Arduino libraries and working on Raspberry Pi stuff. And yeah, it's fine, but like my it'll get content ID matched if I upload it directly from that, so I need to actually cut out that part of the video every time. So I don't know if that thing is all that beneficial, if that's what it causes me. I guess I could just not play the actual Stranger Things music during it, but yeah. Okay, I'm gonna turn on my fan because it's quite warm. Although if you were watching Sion's stream last night, apparently, according to Yuz, Ireland doesn't get warm. But anyways, it's warm for me. So I'm just going to go to clone here. I'm going to grab the SSH key and just copy that. And now I am going to open up... What am I going to open up? Source tree. And I'm going to go to clone new. I'm just going to paste in my the URL I copied there. I'm just going to click down through and it'll sort of automatically put it in my default place. So Arduino Kickstarter stats, and we're going to clone that. So that just kind of sets up that empty repo that we created. So it gives us something to work on. Okay, so I won't need that again for a while. I am going to use Visual Studio Code, I guess. I probably don't need all of these windows. I don't need this one for sure. So that's, oh, what did I click there? Oops. So file, open folder, Arduino Kickstarter stats. So what I'm going to do here as well is I'm going to use one of my other libraries as a base. Which, you know, why would you reinvent the wheel? So I think something like the YouTube API library probably be a good one to use, just because it's relatively simple. Hey Colin, how's it going? Yeah, my wife and daughter are away for the day, and I was gonna do some work on this library anyways, so I said, why not? Why not do it on a stream? Why not make it take 4 times longer than it'd take without it? Oh, we dropped a few packets there, but it seems to have recovered. Yeah. Okay, so I have the YouTube API GitHub here. So if we look at the header file, there's not a huge amount going on here. We have the YouTube API host, so that's Google APIs. For us, that'll be Kickstarter. Hey Gavin, how's it going? The SSL port will be 443. Yeah, I don't know if I'm going to specify that anymore, or make it a, I might make it a hash define. It's just that some places will allow you to use the HTTP port instead, like as in not make HTTPS requests, and really the only difference you need to do is not pass in that. So if I make that be a public property, you know, it would be available to set if people wanted to set it, but I can default it to 443, which is like a cheating soccer formation. England will be playing 4-4 something too. Does anyone know how that film's from? Okay, so let's go back to my so let's make this full screen. So I'm going to create a folder called source. So you don't need to create a source folder, but I think it's handy just to, you know, keep all the actual library stuff in that folder, and then you could have examples folders and whatever else that you need. There's kind of a lot of like crap that gets built up, so what am I gonna call this? I guess I'll call it Kickstarter Stats. I guess that would be as good a name as any, right? Kickstarter Stats dot H. So we'll do the header file first. So I'm just gonna take the header file exactly from the YouTube API, and we'll modify it as needed. Ooh, nice. The thing is nice and big. We've lost some formatting, but that's okay. Kickstarter. I'm not even sure if they're gonna be annoyed that I'm calling it Kickstarter Stats. Who knows? Who cares? They'll probably never notice. Hello to Kickstarter if you're watching. An Arduino library to fetch Kickstarter stats for Kickstarter projects. Stats for Kickstarter projects. Okay. Awesome. I'm just gonna grab Kickstarter stats and I'll put that here. So this is basically, I'm not the best person at C++, so you might want to get somebody who knows more what they're talking about for this. But basically what this is doing here is it's saying like, hey, if you don't have a definition for Kickstarter stats already, I want you to define Kickstarter stats and do all this other stuff and then end the if there. So I think what that protects against is if you had two libraries pulling, like two separate bits of code pulling in this Kickstarter stats library, if it was already defined in your compiler, or when your compiler gets to it, it knows to not add a second one. It's like, oh, it's cool, I'll just use the one that's already defined. So yeah, that works out okay. So where is Postman? So yeah, from Postman here, you can see that the host is kickstarter.com. So that's just basically the part at the start anyways. So yeah, we'll just grab that. It's actually www.kickstarter.com. So we'll update that. The other, like, one of the reasons here that I have like YouTube API _ host, and I'm going to change that now to KSS. Is there any problem with that? Hey, tiny LED matrix, how's it going? One of the reasons why it's important to put like more of a definition behind it is because that will now be shared between all your stuff. So if you, like, if I had host, just host, any other library that uses host will, like, they'll collide with each other. So we do not want that. So I'm just gonna do KSS host. Timeout. Yeah, I guess I'll leave the timeout as a define. We can. Someone can push a pull request if they want to make the timeout configurable. That's just that, you know, if it's down or whatever, it doesn't just sit there waiting forever for a response. So that's fine. If we look at the JSON, that was coming back here. So we see we've project, and then so we've got ID, state changed at, state, backers count, pledged, and comments count. So I guess why wouldn't we just bring all that stuff back? It's pretty small anyways, so why not? So the ID looks like it probably could fit in like an int rather than a long, but I guess we probably have tons of space anyways for this, so it doesn't really matter. So I'll keep the names the same as they are in the JSON. Yeah, why not? Except everything's long. Backers count is really small. I feel like I shouldn't be making them longs, but anyways, yeah, you can all I'll push PRs to change this, or if anyone has really strong feelings about it. Like, backers count's probably never going to be higher than an int. You know, maybe we'll change that to an int. Pledged could be anything. Comments count, again, it could be anything, right? Like, even if the Kickstarter keeps going, long, a state is not a long. Let's make it a string. Probably should make it a character array. Again, feel free to push a PR for this or whatever, but it'll do as a string for the minute. Oh, I have noticed something interesting. Pledged is actually a string. Can I make this bigger? That's weird, isn't it? Maybe it can be none or something, but pledged, you can see here, is a string. It's got quotes around the number, like, isn't it? This is the Kickstarter API. It doesn't seem to be a public API, Mike, but it's available to us. I'll leave it as a number anyways. If I have to convert it, I'll convert it. Sure. We can try out a couple of other things and see what the story is. So we'll just we'll call this project stats. Yep. Okay, so then the class, we're gonna again just call it Kickstarter stats. We do not need an API key, so all we need to do is pass in a client. So I get asked a lot why I pass in a client like this. It's to give maximum configurability to this library. So, like, I want to write one piece of code that works with the ESP8266, the ESP32. Like, the examples will have to be different, but the library doesn't. And even like the Maker 1000 boards or whatever. So all of them have an implementation of the client interface. So what you do is just allow them to pass in a client. So whatever their implementation is of a client, you just pass it in and we'll be able to use it. So this even protects you against, like, if an ESP64 came out tomorrow and they had an implementation of a client, it should in theory just work. So yeah, that's why we do that. So we get them to pass in a pointer to a client. Send get to YouTube. I'm not gonna bother with that, I don't think. I think I'm just gonna get project stats. Right, so I'm gonna ask for, hey Michael, how's it going? Yeah, I was just gonna work on this project on my own, but I said it'd be more fun to get you guys involved. Yeah, so no problem. Whenever you're ready, we'll be here, I'd say. Yeah, it was also an interesting way of timing myself too. Okay, so get project stats. So let's look back at this thing again. So it looks like we need the username and then we need the project name, right? So let's pass in those two things. So username and then project name, I guess. So now we can, the JSON comes from their web page, Mike. So if, where was I looking at it? It was here. Yeah, if you do an inspect element on their web page, you can see it's making a ton of requests to I know I'm blocking, my fat head is blocking it here, but it makes a ton of requests to this stats.json. So it's just that URL there, and you can see what comes back, and the response is that. So, and like, because I tried it with Postman, you know, which didn't have any cookies or didn't have any authentication or didn't have anything, and it worked, it makes me think that it'll just work for the Arduino the Arduino as well. Okay, so yeah, I don't know why I did this before, but I'm gonna continue to do this. That get project stats returns a boolean. I guess that makes sense. And then if that boolean is true, we'll return. Should this be a capital? I suppose it should, right? Seems to me like it should be. But anyways, project stats. Okay, and then I have a boolean for enabling debug messaging or not. We might need that, but it's fine if we do. I'm going to get rid of the API key. Max message length, I'd say we're well covered with 1,000, and then it's just a method for closing the client. Yeah. So that was one of the things I needed to make changes to get all my old libraries to work with the ESP32. I wasn't closing the client, and the ESP32 implementation of the secure HTTPS client needed it. So that's the header file for Kickstarter stats done. So let's take a look at the CPP file. Again, because I'm a super lazy programmer, I'm gonna go to my YouTube. Gonna go to my YouTube one and pull it across and start mangling that. Yeah, so one thing about this library is that I'm going to continue to use the Arduino JSON the way I was using it before, but the way I was using it before doesn't work with version 6 of the Arduino JSON library, and I need to investigate what the story is with that. I thought they just removed dynamic JSON buffer, which I use because it was the recommended thing to use with ESP8266s, but like I had a look earlier today and their documentation still has info about it, so I don't actually know what's wrong, but I'll look at it some other time. But this will not, and none of my other libraries will compile with the latest version of Arduino JSON. So if you're installing Arduino JSON, just bump the version down from, I think it's V6 is the current, so just bump it down to V5, whatever the let me just grab, again, I'm super lazy, I'm a bad typer, so I'm just gonna grab that from over there. Okay, cool. Let's, I guess, right, include Kickstarter stats.h. Okie dokie. So let's get the constructor out of the way first. What is this given out about? Name followed by colon colon must be a class or namespace. Okay, that's sorted itself out. So we get rid of that, so we just have the client, which makes sense to me. Okay, so the other thing that we had was a boolean of get project stats. Okay. So this was string before, so let's change that to a boolean. Get project stats. It might be actually easier to modify one of the other ones. And maybe I actually will keep a send get to Kickstarter thing. That might make more sense. I'll just call it send get. Sure, it's or make get request or whatever, string make get request, and we have a string here of this will be the command. Okay. So we go back to CPP, Kickstarter stats, make get request, we got command, so we've got a headers and bodies and finished headers, and current line is blank and blah 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 blah. Yeah, so here is where, oh, I never put the port in as public here. I think I have it as a public thing in the Telegram library. I meant to, or at least I started doing it. No, it doesn't look like I do. I started doing it because somebody said that it worked without being HTTPS, but it doesn't. So let me grab. I just want to check that int is the right Reddit API. I never actually released this. I should at some stage. It can fetch the, yeah, there's the port number. Okay. It can fetch it can fetch like the subreddit like follower count, or the amount of people who have subscribed to a subreddit. So it's not all that useful, but it's probably more useful than this one. Yeah, so where is the connect? So yeah, Reddit host and then just port number. Okay. Okay, so port number, what was my hash define? It was KSS host. Okay, so we're connecting with Kickstarter. Kickstarter over SSL. So you can see here, if debug, print out connected to the server. So the get command is going to contain everything we need here, because we don't need an API key. Too many pluses got taken away there. I think that's all we're going to need to do. So we've the get, we're going to put in the command, so the command will be the we were looking at the code here earlier, so it'll be the /project /idlehandsdev HTC mod blah 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 stats.json, all of this stuff up to the space between the HTTP 1.1, and then the host was a header, so we're going to pass that into I don't think we need anything else, but we'll see. What did I call this? KSS timeout. So I see that as something we need to replace as well. So again, this just kicks off a while loop and makes sure that we basically time out if we need to time out. There's some crap going on in here basically where it's stripping the body out, the body from the response. So like I get a bunch of headers back in the response, but then I also get the body. So you can see the body here, but like here's a ton of headers that I don't care about, so we need to strip all of them out. So and just take out this raw body basically. So that's what some of this stuff is doing. Basically it's just looking for 2 new line characters in a row. That's the crux of it, and it just returns the body and it closes the client as well. So that's important for ESP32s, and that will give us the string back. I think. I guess. No. Why don't we find out? Does it give me the string back? Okay, so we won't even. I guess we should make a compile first. That would be beneficial. So get project stats is the next one. I will just keep going actually on doing it, and we'll see if we can get it working first time. It's never going to happen, but we'll see. So get project stats. We have the username and the project name. Okay. So the command here is going to be, if we go back to code here, so it's this part. So I'm just going to grab it all, and then we can put in what we need to put in, or kind of insert what we need to insert afterwards. Let's get rid of that. That is applicable only to the YouTube API. So let's paste in all of this. I don't think I have an auto formatter installed on this, which would be really nice, but maybe I do. I actually don't know what the auto format command is on Windows. I know what it is on Mac, but yeah, doesn't matter. We can format it later. Okay, so we've got projects, and then let's put in username. So we have this thing again. Excuse me. We've got a plus, and we're going to put in our project name. So one thing that's handy about the doing a separate send get request or make get request is that if there's some other endpoint that we want to hit, I don't know what other endpoints there could be, but I don't know. So there's a project.json or whatever, and we just can add another method, but like this messy thing here is not going to change. So you just make a new command or send a new command, and you know, deal with the JSON that comes back differently, and you should be good to go. I think I can do this part better, but I'm not going to bother because I need to like redo the Arduino JSON stuff soon anyways. Like I think basically this was almost like casting it to set, I don't know, there was definitely a problem with me just doing this down here. I can't remember what it was, but it doesn't really matter anyways. So yeah, we get our response. It's not YouTube, it's Kickstarter. That is the worst comment of all time. That's fine. So we get our response, then we parse it into a dynamic JSON buffer. If that parse was successful, it will come down here. So we want the root to contain, so this is our root object, so it has a project object. So we want the root to contain the key project. If it doesn't, we don't know anything about it, so we don't want it. So it's a project. It's not an array. Yeah, so it's just project, which is an object, so we can just do that basically. So if we go back and look at our headers, I'm just going to grab everything that's in this struct because we're pretty much going to use all of it. So ID, I'm just going to open the thing over on the left, so I don't need to switch windows. So state changed at, let's get rid of you. I'm just gonna put in project here for a load of them, get rid of get rid of this stuff. So basically the YouTube API response had a more complex object, so I needed to step down through more stuff. But this one's really simple, so we can just get rid of a lot of that stuff. Cool. So we've got our state. We've got our backers count. We've got our pledged. Let's make sure we get that right and that right. And we have comments count. Cool, so that covers us there. And then this thing is not called channel statistics, it's called project stats. So we're just updating the we are just updating. Hey Sean, thanks for the follow. I didn't know you were a Twitch user, or maybe you are now. Yeah, so we got our project stats here, so that's our struct. It's our instance of our struct, actually. Okay, so we got project stats and we got ID. So we're just gonna let them equal to each other. No worries at all. Your Kickstarter is doing great. Wow, it's doing really well. Yeah. Interestingly enough, what comes back in the response in that JSON seems to be your currency, because it's Canadian dollars. But like it doesn't have a value. It just says, sorry, it has a value. It doesn't have a currency. But 4109 seems to be Canadian dollars, just judging by. For me, it appears as euro, like on the web page, and just converting Canadian dollars to euro. 4109 seems to be what it is. So yeah, which isn't a problem, I guess, because if you're making a display to display your Kickstarter stats, you probably know what currency you picked for it. So no issues there, I would say. So we got our backers count, we got our comment count. Oh, it's different. That's just the YouTube comment count. Okay. Alright, so if it had project and we were able to do all that stuff, we're going to return true. And if we didn't, we're going to return false, which is fine by me. And that is potentially everything. There's no way it's going to work first time, so we'll see how it goes. So that's everything code-wise. So now to actually add, we need to add a couple of extra files to make it a library. Actually, we only need to make one file to make it a library. So we go to the root, so it's not in the source directory anymore. It's on the root of the project. We're going to create a library.properties. So this is the file that basically says like who the author of the library is. I can show you my YouTube one here, who the author of it is, what version it is. So like this is used by the Arduino IDE when you submit it for approval on that. So if it works out okay, we'll go through the process of actually submitting it to the Arduino library like manager, basically. So like when you open the library tool, you can search for it. So you know, this is the sentence that'll pop up, and then there's the paragraph, so if more details, and yeah, the URL for more info is just always the GitHub link. So that's another reason why it's handy to create the GitHub project first, so you can just add it back in. And then architecture, so you can specify AVR or whatever here. So I just normally make it star, and if it works for people, it works for people, and if it doesn't, then you know, what can you do? Okay, so I'm just going to copy that from the YouTube one again, and we'll make changes to it as we need to. So let me bring up GitHub first anyways, and we get that working. Yeah, so Kickstarter stats. So we've got that done. Communication. I never know what to do with these, and I don't know what they do with them either. Like, I've never seen you being able to look through, like, hey, give me the communications category or whatever. So, I don't know. I'll leave it as that. Let's make it version 110. We'll call it Kickstarter stats. So Brian Locke, there's my email address if any of you want to annoy me. Although I don't know if I'm not really checking that one too much at the moment, so I should probably start checking that more. Doesn't matter. Okay, so the sentence, so this would describe the project in one sentence, but I never know, like I never have too much to say in the paragraph either, so I just normally make it the same. I guess and others maybe and others. So a library to fetch Kickstarter stats. Okay, I don't really think I need this for Arduino stuff. You're in the Arduino library manager when you do this, so I don't think you care. What? Okay, so that's like we could now load this into the Arduino IDE, but one thing that you really should include with libraries is examples. So we're going to create an examples folder, and then so this will show up in the drop down under file examples. Hey, thanks for the sub, Sean. You definitely didn't need to, but I appreciate it. You should have waited till I got it working. Now I could just walk away. Yeah, but so underneath the examples folder, you can have like subfolders. So what I like to do is like, because the examples for the ESP8266 and the ESP32 are different, I like to create separate folders for each of them. Like, the examples are pretty similar, but you know, there's just subtle differences in the libraries that they use. Not the libraries that we're going to use, but like is in the Wi-Fi library or whatever is called just Wi-Fi in the ESP32, and I think it's called like ESP8266 Wi-Fi or something, and ESP8266 land. Sean wants it on an ESP32, so maybe we'll start with that one. Doesn't really matter. Let's just do both of them. Who cares? So again, I'm the superest, laziest developer you're ever gonna see. So yeah. So let's start with the ESP32 one. So again, it's pretty standard. What is the main thing we're doing? Fetch project stats. Yeah. So you need, like, it's like an Arduino project. It needs to be in a folder the same name as the INO. So we'll do fetch project stats. Maybe we'll just do get project stats fetch. Sounds like you're a dog or something. Okay, so get project stats. We'll go new file. So we do get project stats.ino. Paste this in here. So get Kickstarter project statistics using an ESP32. I don't think ESP32 needs to be on its own page. Okay, cool. So we need to include not the YouTube API, we need to include the Kickstarter stats API. We need to include Wi-Fi, Wi-Fi client secure, Arduino JSON. So yeah, our sketch won't technically need the Arduino JSON library, but the library does need it, so it's a good thing to kind of like prompt the person who's looking at the example that they're going to need to install the Arduino JSON library. So here's the SSID and password. Yeah, I don't know if I'm gonna define anything. It's probably, I don't think it's needed. Yeah, so SSID and password. So Wi-Fi client secure, so that's going to be our instance of the Wi-Fi secure client. We'll go to Kickstarter stats. Go back here. So we're creating an instance of Kickstarter stats, so we'll just call it KSS. Don't need an API key. I hate this. Mean time between API requests. Delay between requests. So 6,000. So I don't even know what mean time is. That was a hangover from the original person I copied for doing API, or doing the Telegram API, had it as that, and it's been just copied and copied and copied between all my libraries. Time between requests, so this is 1 minute. I don't know, because it's not an official API, there's no terms of use, so I have no idea what would be a valid time to put in here. 1 minute is probably fine, it's probably not too heavy on them, it's probably fast enough for you, you know, but if people want to change that down to whatever they want, they can do that. Last time request ran, do I want to do it that way? If millis is minus API last time is greater than the current time. Now you see, if you do it this way, you don't get, it won't run for the first minute, which isn't the best. So it's probably better to do it the other way around. So so if you do request due time, time when request is due, then this will default to 0. So the first time it will be I'll show you now in the if or whatever. So it's going to be if millis, it's just going to be if millis is greater than request due time. So if that's 0, millis is the amount of milliseconds that the device is running, so straight away it's going to be bigger than 0. So that will enter into this straight away, and then the request due time will equal to, so after we've ran our thing and we're happy with it, we'll let the request due time be equal to millis plus delay between requests. So that's taking the time now and adding the 60,000 milliseconds to it, so a minute from now. So we should be pretty good to do that. Okay, so what else do we need to do here? So we've made our Kickstarter client, we're printing our IP address and stuff, and we're doing some things. Okay, so we're doing KSS, and we want get project stats. Oops, up here. Actually, I will define actually what the user Yeah, because then it makes it easier up here to just make a change once. Kickstarter user. So that's I don't know that many Kickstarter users, so I'm just gonna use I'm gonna just use Sean as an example. Why not? Idle hands dev. I presume you don't have any problems with that, Sean. Idle hands dev. Do I need to? It is in quotes, right? I never can remember which. Yeah, it is. And then we will do, let's give him a link to, sure, why not? Because it also kind of shows where it comes from as well. So username on Kickstarter. So you can see the idle hands dev at the end, and then idle hands dev. So you'd imagine people will figure that out. There's not really a huge amount you can do. We can kind of make it more explicit in the README anyways. Okay, and then the project. Let's grab that. So project name on Kickstarter. It's kind of long, but it's fine. So that's the project name. This is Kickstarter project. So like I don't see why you couldn't have the, if you had multiple Kickstarters running at the one time, why, or even I presume like links to old ones still work, like that you couldn't cycle through loads of them. I don't see why not anyways. Okay, so the project name is KS project, the user is KS user. Okay, so we got stats, that works okay for me. Let's grab the struct here. It'll make it easier to just paste in. So project ID really doesn't matter, but we'll do it anyways. So you'll see KSS, KSS, KSS. What else do we need? What was the name of it? It's project stats. Right, project stats. Okay, project stats, project stats, project stats. Okay, so ID. Let's put project stats up here. ID is that state changed at. I don't know what that is, but I think it's how long it's live, basically. State changed at. So I guess you could do. You could even make it a helper method or whatever. You could see kind of if you had the actual time, you could see how long it's live or whatever. Doesn't look like you have the end date in that though. So maybe there is another endpoint that you could use for the end date. Because it doesn't seem like that's there. Which seems like a relatively useful piece of information. But anyways, we'll worry about that when we get to it. Okay, so project stats. So this is the state of the project. Which kind of in Ireland that has I don't know, a different meaning. The state of that. The backers count. Backers count. We need a few more things. I think that's everything we need. So pledged and comments count. So the pledged is the important thing, I guess. I probably should leave a note about what like currency it's in or whatever. So I'll probably do that. Pledged. It also doesn't, so it doesn't have the end date or the target, which is interesting. But I guess in a live updating like thing, it doesn't need it. So like you could put in what the target is, because that's fixed right when the project starts. You know, it doesn't really need to go to the API to get that. It'd be better if it came back in the API, but I guess it doesn't really matter. So that's fine. And then we have comments count. So I'm just gonna put a dollar symbol in here, and put in here. This comes back in the Kickstarter users currency. Yeah, I think it's just the items that change. So like, as in, if you were making a display for yourself, you know, you could put in, hey, this is going to end on whatever date. I presume it's like 28 days from now or whatever it is. I guess, yeah, it would be nice if it all came back, but sure. C'est la vie, doesn't really matter all that much. So there, that is an ESP32 example working. No, I have no idea if it works, but it is an ESP32 example maybe working. Okay, so let's grab the ESP8266 example as well as the basic one. We can just copy most of this stuff over from the ESP32. There's such a small amount of stuff that's different between them. So get project stats and oops, let's rename that. Get project stats. New file get project stats.ino. Paste this in here. Now let's go grab all of that stuff to the top here. Yeah, so ESP8266 Wi-Fi versus Wi-Fi without that. All of this stuff can be the same. What else can be the same? This stuff can be the same. Actually, the Wi-Fi client secure could be too, but that's fine. Yep, back. Yeah, that is a bit long. I don't know. Doesn't matter. Who cares? I kinda care. I'll just put it over here. Let's move it over to the ESP32 project as well. It's just that, like, if you pressed up, it moved you way over to the right, which is kind of a pain. So we'll get that fixed up. Okay. Oh, subs. I don't need that. Okay, so the ESP8266 setup will be a little bit different, and it's going to be the same as the one I just copied and pasted, so that's fine. But the loop will be identical to the ESP32 version, so we can just grab that too. And there we go. There's our two examples done. So I guess there is no reason why I can't give them a go now. So I'm going to Sketch, go to include library. So the first time I'm including a library, I'm just going to add it by zip, and we can see our Kickstarter stats here. So library added to your libraries. So if then we go to file, examples, go down to the libraries, we see Kickstarter stats. So let's do the ESP32 first, because I think I have one on my desk. No, I don't. Okay. What's nice about the examples is this should run just like by default. Well, you need to put in your SSID, but other than that, like, you don't need to go get API keys or anything along those lines, which is nice. Okay, so which one did I start with? Ooh, that's wrong. Let's fix that. I was like, oh, I have it written up the top, which one is which. No, I do not. ESP8266. Okay. That will not update this because it's copied it over now, so that's fine though. This was the ESP8266 version, so I need to put in my SSID and password. Actually, what I'm going to do is I'm going to just take this off screen because you don't really need to see it. I'm just changing my SSID and password. I was about to call out my SSID. Well, you're going to see that because it's about to print, right? I could just stop it printing the SSID, I guess. It's kind of a pointless thing to print anyways, but so we are where we are. Okay, so let me see. Okay, what are the odds of this working first time? No, it failed to upload to the board there. That was a good start. It never works first time. Okay, so it doesn't like my equals of the defines. Ugh. If that's all that was wrong, I'd be so annoyed. Whoops. So we're compiling the sketch. We got an error. What is the error? The error. It's in the library anyways. So I have expected something somewhere. Expected comma or semicolon for the if, so on line 92 and 2. So let's take a look at that. So it's in the CPP, line 92. Ah, you see I don't have a semicolon after that. That's a problem. And then on 124, that could be fine. I think that could be just caused by the same issue. So, like, a way to do this, we could delete the library and just add it again. Or if we go into... Don't ask me why, but this is in my downloads folder. So we're going into the libraries folder. Where is it? Libraries. And so we have the Kickstarter, Arduino Kickstarter stats in source here. So I'm just going to copy the file over. I'm going to replace. Yeah, so that should have fixed up what we did there. The examples are still wrong. I'll fix them up. It's as easy to just fix them up in here, and then before I'm finished uploading it though, I'll delete and add it again and just make sure the things work out alright. So now I don't need to add it again or anything. It's made a change to the library files that because I copied it over, it's you know, the library file that it's going to use to compile is now changed, so hopefully it'll just work. I don't really care too much if you see my SSID or password. I live in the middle of nowhere and I can just change it. I keep meaning to set up a guest account for this sort of stuff, like so that I really wouldn't care, but yeah. So it's still compiling here. How long have I been streaming for? Can I see that? An hour and 15 minutes. If it works after this, after an hour and 15 minutes on a stream, I think that's pretty good going. Okay, so it's running. It's connecting to my Wi-Fi. It's got an IP address. It is not doing a whole lot. Should have done something by now. Something's failing. Okay. Let's just take that off screen. Go past my... Oh, that's a pity. Okay, so let's find out what's going on. So this is the handy thing about having the debug flag something public. Debug equals true. So we can see what's going on. I don't really want to save you right now. So I guess the other thing I can do here is just to make sure that even my timer code is running properly. So like getting data now. Getting data. Oh, it's just a force of habit to control S every time. Yeah, so we'll see if this reveals what is going on. I spoke too soon when I said that it was good going. I forgot about the times that you'll be buried into stuff trying to figure out things, but we'll see. Okay. Yeah, that's a good idea. I actually have 2 Wi-Fis in my house. Okay, so the body is coming back as a mess. Right, so it's connecting to the client, connected to the server, and the body is coming back as garbage. Right, so let's take a look at that. So I guess like one of the easiest ways, this is super slow to print out every character that you're getting, but maybe I need to set something like is there any headers that this is set? Not really. Maybe it needs to set more headers or something. I'm not sure, but we'll see. So I'm going to print out every client or character that comes back from the client and see how that works out for us. It's pretty slow to do that, so even I don't put it into the debug stuff. You're really in the weeds if you need to do this. So we'll see how it goes. I'm pretty sure my router... I have 2 Wi-Fis already because I have 2 internets, and one of them... So I have one router that is my main router, and then my tree broadband router, you know, so that's using phone signal to get internet. It's actually what I'm streaming on right now. It doesn't support bridge mode, so like my main router is a DHCP client of that router. Yeah, which is kind of strange. That's weird. So maybe there is a delay issue. Actually, I've seen this before. That's actually a good idea too. I've actually seen this before where I think we're not listening to all of it, and putting in the print is slowing it down. No, but the print isn't even happening. What is going on here? Okay, so it's working, but why? So I'm serial writing what comes back, but I don't see that in the serial monitor. Did I not save it? I didn't save it, so it's just working now, even though I didn't change anything. That's interesting. Okay. Let's put that back. So, I would prefer if it didn't work. Because now I don't know what I did to fix it. Okay, let's get rid of the debug line. I'll leave it in actually as a comment. Did I do anything else? I think that was the main thing I did. Yeah, I don't remember. Oh, I printed getting data. Yeah, that's fine. Ah, I keep pressing the control save. Let's try upload that again and see what happens. I guess while we're waiting for that to upload, I can add some of these things to the actual examples that are in the library folder. So I'll put that in there because that makes sense, I think. And I'll also put in the commented out KSS debug. I guess I'll put it here. Doesn't really matter where it goes. Okay, so back to here. I don't know what to say. It's it's working. Okay, my hour timer has ran out. That's fine. Okay, so it seems to be working. I don't know why it returned garbage the first time, but right, I don't know. It's working fine. I'm resetting it here. Connects to the Wi-Fi. Prints out some stuff. Gets the data, and there's the project stats. 4311. Just Sean, you're changing as we're doing the thing here. Like, it wasn't 4311 at the start of the stream. Yeah, that's a nice little count up thing that they had. 4311 Canadian. Okay, so maybe I need to put in K dollars in front of this, do I? Oh, there's no point doing it there. Okie dokie. I'll do it here. I don't know. Is that Canadian dollar symbol? Seems okay to me. Alright, so let's try the ESP32 version, because pretty sure Sean will be putting it on a Pico Pixel. So this is one of those dodgy ESP32 Lite boards that I need to fix the battery charger on. Okay, so he's fine. We'll leave him to his own devices there. Let's go to File, New. Go to File, Examples. So if you plug yours in, I can't see myself from covering it. If you plug yours in and you've no battery in there, and this light is still on and it's blinking, it's got a faulty charge circuit on it, and you can buy a replacement charge circuit and replace it, and it works pretty well. So I believe. Oh, I plugged it out when I didn't need to. Digi Cool Things has a channel, and he showed how to do it. It's pretty interesting. It's quite small, so I'm looking forward to it. Sort of. I'm putting it off. So Kickstarter stats, ESP32. So does this have the change with the equals? No. And I'll just put a stupid serial print here. Doesn't matter what it is. The charge I see on it, let me find that for you. Boom. As far as I know, anyways, it shouldn't be on this one. So Colin, is yours on when you plug it in and you've no battery plugged in? So like, I'm pretty certain that Greg from DigiCool Things, his... Oh, what happened there? Why did my chat turn off? Middle click is turning off my chat. Interesting. Hi chat. Mouse tree. When did I do that? Hey, is it the King Gosson? King O'Fiveson. How's it going? Yeah, I guess it's a weird time for me to be streaming, so I guess people who wouldn't, my stream times don't normally suit or whatever, is able to join now. What is the, where is this H? Yeah. No, mine is a knockoff Lowland Light or something. I'm just finding out the... I got it in a post bag quite recently, but I can't remember which one. Okay, it's none of those ones. Post bag. Hey, my post bag that has a red arrow on it and the thumbnail has more views than the other ones. Yeah. Okay, so the one I have on it is a TP4054, and the one that came on mine is not good, but the ones that I bought are the same one as Greg's of DigiCool Things, and his do seem to work, and I bought the same ones, so I'm assuming mine are gonna work too. Maybe that's a stupid assumption, especially with the way I soldered. That's Greg's channel anyways, so one of his videos is about replacing it, so he goes into a good bit of detail about what it should be doing and what it shouldn't be doing. Yeah, okay, so I think once I update my SSID and password, we should be able to give this a go. Okay, I failed the first time. I'll move it over now in a second. Okay, it's compiling. ESP32 is... Oh, I don't even... Do I even have the ESP32 stuff installed. It's compiling for not this. Yeah, I don't have it installed on this this version of my Arduino IDE. Let me grab the version I do have it installed on. I really need to consolidate these at some stage. Soon. Okay, so this is a version that has ESP32 installed, right? Yes. Okay, so we're gonna go to Sketch, include library, add zip to library. I'm gonna go to Documents, Arduino, Kickstarter stats, library added. So we go to File, Examples, Kickstarter stats, ESP32. Just while I'm off screen here, I'll update my password. My I was gonna say my 3D printer. Our 3D printer arrived from Kickstarter to, or not Kickstarter, Instructables today, so that's pretty cool. I don't know, what's this called? It's a, I think Lowland works. Comport 3, okay. So, looking forward to playing around with that, but seeing as it is my wife that won it, and she's not here, I didn't feel it was right for me to open it, so that's fine. Although I really don't think she'll care. Excuse me. Although she is in, like, she's a qualified civil engineer, so she's big into CAD stuff, like, enjoyed that a lot, so I'm hoping that she will kind of pick it up a little bit more. Yeah, so we'll see. Okie dokie, so it's still compiling. It's quite slow to compile for an ESP32 for the first time. I'm probably using pretty old libraries now at this stage. I really need to just, like, throw away... What is this? Invalid argument. Upload speed. I don't think I've ever gotten that before. Maybe I have the wrong board selected? What do I normally use? I think I normally use Wemos Lowland. Let's press the upload again button and see what happens. I don't think it's just gonna magically work though for some reason. Do I have another ESP32? I do. What did I used to use? Okay, so there's something wrong with my upload speed. Yeah, I could just use ESP32 dev module. I'm pretty sure I used to use just Wemos Lowland 32. Interesting. The only problem with selecting the dev module is there's so much stuff. I don't know what flash mode I'm using. Yeah, let's see. Let's click the upload button and see what happens. It's gonna have to compile again. Yeah, it does surprise me, alright. Let's take a look at this. I do work from home. I don't know, do they buy you stuff? I actually am pretty happy with my router. I have a router made by a crowd called Microtik. I think they're based in Eastern Europe. It's really, really good. Like, super good. You know the way some people are like, oh, I built this device to restart my router every, like, week or every night or whatever. I haven't had to restart my router in like ever. What is going on here? Let's just try Nano 32. I'm certain I used to use the Wemos one, but anyways, let's see how it goes. That's interesting too. It's probably creating a load of files that your AV scanner is checking out. Can you hear the fan? I'm just curious if you can. It's quite warm and I'm not going to turn it off. I'm just curious, can you hear it? Come on, compile the sketch. Didn't work. I'll try this Lowland D32 board. What other ESP32 boards do I have? I don't know. Never used this board, so I don't know if it'll work. What is wrong with this one? This is the one I want to use. It doesn't seem to have an... it has upload speed now. Did it not have it before? I don't know. Let's see how that goes. Where are my other ones? Oh, here it is. This is the ESP32 board I normally use. So, if it doesn't work this time, we're moving to him. Twitch stopped my stream for a 20-second Adidas advertisement. Man, I don't watch a lot of Twitch, so I don't know what it's like in terms of consuming content. Like, I've checked out a couple of people every now and again. This is still connecting, which makes me think it's not gonna work. Timed out waiting for a packet header. For God's sake. Does it do that much? I think I'm gonna need to reinstall the stuff. Comport 11. Okay. Does it do that stuff much? Okay. I don't know. That's a pity. Like, I didn't tell it to go play an ad or anything. Okay, it's doing some writing. Well, that seems to have stopped. Hard resetting. Invalid the invalid library is fine. Wrote. It's done uploading. Okay. Serial monitor 11. I don't think that's the speed I'm running at. That's this speed. So let's reset it. Connecting. You see, there we go. Works on the ESP32 as well. Eventually. Okay, let me try. This is a fresh version of the. This is a fresh version of the library. So let me try the ESP32 version. Our ESP8266 version on this one too, and then if that works okay, we can just upload it. You can talk amongst yourselves for a minute. I know, I'll just changing over the SSID and password. That's not my board anymore. Wemos D1 Mini. Upload speed is fine. Comport is 3. Okay, let's see how we go. Ooh, I got another button for that project, Colin, actually, as well. I got it from I actually got it from Chris Cochran. He was sending over some other enclosures, and he sent over this button as well. It looks like it'll work pretty good, especially as, you know, you had like a small button as well as the 5 larger buttons. I think it'll work well as that button. Oh, really? Yeah, you have a similar accent, alright, but I didn't want to just assume that everybody with a Scottish accent lived right beside each other. Okay, so that's running. Not displaying anything. I was thinking of maybe using a rotary encoder. Okay, so that's working too. So, okay, cool. So that's that. I guess in the interest of completeness, I need to do a README for it. An Arduino library for fetching stats on a Kickstarter project. Tested on and you're all witnesses, ESP266 and ESP32. Possibly works on others. Should work on others. Yeah, I don't even know what to say about this. Just go look at the examples. Yeah. Like what do you say? Just go look at the examples. Yeah, so the rotary encoder, the knob is a bit of a concern. Alright. Oh yeah, actually this is my third day in a row. I was getting tired towards the end of Sion's stream for sure. But like I didn't want to be like, hey, let's finish up on your stream. It's good fun though. I don't know, new post. I just use Imager for I think I can just paste, can I? Yeah, cool. I don't want to share it to the community because the community keeps giving out to me every time I share it to them. So I'm just gonna take the markdown for Reddit is kind of similar to GitHub. I think I just need to put in a hash bang here, whatever it's called. Do I have? Can I split it or preview to the side? Yep. Tested on ESP266, should work on others. I really don't know what else to say on this. Just check out the examples for usage. Like, I don't know. I don't know. What else is there to say? Okay, saved. Okay, so let's bring back in source tree. What is that? That's interesting. I don't need either of them. They must be generated by VS Code. Okay. Finally. I'm only doing it because it's a library, Leo. I'm gonna stick with Arduino IDEs till I die. No, I much prefer Visual Studio Code. Who wouldn't? Git ignore, and we'll. I think I just need to put in this, right? VS Code. Isn't that? There's a VS Code. Yeah. Has it gotten rid of it? Yes, it has. Okay. Cool. Yeah, so I just added a git ignore to say get rid of that folder because people don't need it. Leo, come on. What do you want from me? I'm just a guy trying to not alienate. No new line at end of file. Maybe I should put a new line at the end of file. I'm just a guy trying to not alienate his audience, because as I say, you can adapt whatever I do to VS Code, no problem, but somebody who doesn't know anything. Detected bored, Adafruit, huzzah. Have you? Jeez, VS Code is trying its best. Nice. Interesting. It was not a huzzah though. Yeah, it's fine. Okay, so working version of Kickstarter library. Yeah, I would love to not be using the Arduino IDE though. Oh, I hate it. But anyways, it's neither here nor there. Okay, so that's there we go. An Arduino Kickstarter library. It only took an hour and 45 minutes. So that's fine. Anybody wants to try them out and make sure that they compile, that'd be swell. But what I'm just going to do now is I'm going to generate a release. So the Git client is source tree. It's made by Atlassian or Bitbucket or whoever you want to call them. Or is it called Stash now? No, Stash has changed to Bitbucket. It is more advanced than the GitHub for desktop client, which suits me, but mightn't suit people who aren't too familiar with it. Like, if all you're using GitHub for is Arduino stuff that's all open source anyways, then maybe I just recommend using the GitHub client, because you don't need to set up an SSH key. I think it does that for you. But on a Mac, I would just use I just use the command line Git, but I hate it on Windows, so I just use source tree for it. Yeah, no, I use the CLI on the Mac, but not on Windows. Like, I can, but you know. Ugh. Okay, so cool. We have it up here. That's all good. Now we want to release a version of it to the Arduino library manager. So we click on releases here. We create a new release. We tag it. We're gonna tag it as v1.0.0, and I'm gonna call the release title v1.0.0 initial release. That's fine. Support for ESP8266 and ESP32. Yeah, VS Code's Git integration is pretty decent too, but like normally I'm doing Arduino stuff, so I don't know. It doesn't really bother me which one I switch to or whatever. But anyway, so it's important to tag it with this semver or whatever that thing is, versioning number pattern. So major minor tag, is it? Major minor tag. I think that's a requirement from the Arduino world, and also I think it probably needs to match your the one that's in your library properties too. Maybe it doesn't need to, but you probably should. Okay, so I'm going to publish this release. Okay, done. So now I go to my GitHub account again, and I search for it because I lose it every time. Arduino library manager GitHub. Where is it? It's here. So you open an issue to them. So new issue. It seems like all the rest of them have this on it, so I might do it too. Library manager. Patch. Yeah, you're right. Oh, that's interesting. Ubuntu Core for Windows. Yeah, I might do that. I'm probably not going to do it. I don't know how I'm saying. I probably might do that. I probably won't. It does sound cool, I just don't need anything else in my life at the moment. Please add Kickstarter stats library to library manager. Spoken like a true sysadmin. Wasn't that what you were in your last job? Please add Kickstarter library. So I just link to the library and say, I'll just do it again. Please can Kickstarter stats library be added to the library manager. Thanks. And there, done. So in a few days that'll get approved or whatever, and it'll just be on it. Will I just install Linux? I won't. Who needs Windows? I do, because the video editing software I use is Windows, and I don't want to learn anything else. And yeah, then I play games as well, which is a Windows only pastime. So I use a Mac in work, and I like my personal laptop's also a Mac. Oops, turning on and off lights over here. So this is my MacBook Pro that I won off Instructables. I love it. It's so nice. It's a 13-inch one, or maybe it's 12.5. Right? I don't know. It's smaller than my old one. But yeah, I love this so much. But I do most of my work on the Windows PC because that's where I'm set up to stream from. This only has 2 ports, so like I don't even know how I would use 2 webcams to stream and stuff, and I don't think I'd be able for it either. So yeah, I don't know where to put it now. Let's throw it on the desk. Okay, so that's it done. Not too bad. Just under 2 hours, and we have a working library, or at least it worked for me, and I have video proof of it. So, Sean, if you're still on, there you go. Signed, sealed, and delivered. Okay, I'm gonna finish up. Thanks for joining, everybody. Appreciate it. I will see you again. Cool.